There are moments in life when we don't just walk through storms, we become the storm. And sometimes it is not the loud thunder that shakes us, but the silent lightning that blinds us from within. You see, not all wounds bleed. Some wounds wear a smile. And not all battles are fought with swords. Some battles are fought in the mind, in the soul, and behind closed doors where no one sees. In this journey called life, we will meet many people. Some will teach us about love, others will teach us about pain. But the most dangerous lessons often come wrapped in charm, intelligence, and eloquence. They will not scream, they will whisper, they will not attack, they will manipulate. And often they will do it with such brilliance that by the time you realize the damage, you have forgotten who you were before they entered your life. Smart narcissists are not just individuals with inflated egos, they are performers, actors in a drama, only they are writing. They wear masks that look like kindness, speak words that sound like wisdom, and hold a mirror to your flaws while hiding their own behind the veil of intellect. But here's the truth. You are not weak because you fell for their charm. You are strong because you're learning how to rise from the ashes they left behind. Today, we're not just talking about them, we are reclaiming our power. Because once you can name the storm, you can survive it. They weaponize intelligence to control, not connect. They walk into rooms like the world belongs to them. Not because they own the world, but because they have mastered the illusion of certainty. Every word is calculated, every sentence finely tuned not to bring clarity to others, but to confuse, to corner, to dominate. And in that moment, intelligence becomes a sword, not a bridge. You sit across from them in awe of how much they know. Yet your spirit feels smaller, your light feels dimmer, and your voice quieter. They speak in a way that makes you question your own thoughts. You bring an idea to the table, and they dress it up in their vocabulary until it no longer belongs to you. You were never invited into conversation, you were baited into control. It feels like connection, but it's not. It's performance. A rehearsed monologue of superiority that leaves no space for your truth to breathe. They study your silence, they analyze your pauses. They look for gaps in your confidence like predators hunting for cracks in armor. And the moment they find them, they don't heal them, they highlight them. Not to help, but to haunt. Not to empower, but to enslave. They don't want you free. They want you dependent on their guidance, trapped in their intellect, tethered to their perception of who you should be. They never yell, but their silence is louder than any scream. They never push, but their pressure is suffocating. They never insult, but their sarcasm slices through you like paper cut so small no one sees the bleeding, but you feel the sting every second. They know exactly how to craft criticism that sounds like advice but feels like dismissal. And you start to shrink, not because you lack worth, but because you've been wrapped in words that feel wise but wound deep. You look in the mirror and see someone unsure, not because you were always unsure, but because they planted seeds of doubt dressed as enlightenment. You stop trusting your gut. You start deferring to their logic. And before you know it, your mind is no longer your own. You're walking through your life, guided by a compass they created, pointing only to them. The hardest part is that they make you feel like you need them. Like, without their insight, your world would crumble. Like, without their intellect, you would be lost. So you cling, even as you feel your soul slipping away. You nod even when it hurts. You agree even when it burns. Because somewhere inside, they've convinced you that disagreement means ignorance and silence means safety. But what if I told you that your voice, yes, your quiet, trembling voice holds more truth than their entire performance? What if I told you that your intuitive knowing is not naive, but divine? That you do not need to master their language to speak your truth, because your truth was never meant to be filtered through their intellect. The wisdom you carry may not be wrapped in perfect words. It may not sound like poetry, but it is real, it is rooted, it is yours. And that alone is enough to tear down the fortress of false power they've built around your life. The moment you start asking, who does this intelligence serve, is the moment you start reclaiming the space they took. They wear their intellect like armor. But what they don't tell you is that armor is also a prison. A heart that hides behind knowledge is a heart that fears truth. Because real truth requires vulnerability, not dominance. Real intelligence allows room for other voices, other views, and other ways of knowing. The smartest person in the room isn't the one who speaks the most, it's the one who listens with the most humility. And maybe you've been questioning yourself for far too long. Maybe you've allowed their brilliance to convince you that your light is too soft to matter. But today, you can begin again. Today, you can whisper to yourself, I am not here to be impressed, I am here to be heard. I am not here to be led, I am here to walk beside. I am not here to be analyzed, I am here to be understood. There will always be people who think their way is the only way. There will always be voices louder than your truth. But just because they speak with confidence doesn't mean they carry clarity. Just because they dominate the conversation doesn't mean they've earned your attention. You have the right to choose who gets to speak into your life. You have the power to say, not every mind that sparkles carries light. So step away from the performance, walk into your silence, and hear your own soul again. Because in your quiet, you'll find the kind of wisdom that doesn't need to control it, only wants to connect. They mirror your dreams, then make you question them at first. They look like the answer to everything you've ever longed for. They see you, not just the surface you, but the depth, the potential, the light that even you had forgotten was there. And for a while, it feels beautiful. Because for once, someone is reflecting your dreams back to you like a sunrise, bright, warm, and endless. You start to believe, maybe I can do this. Maybe I am enough. Maybe I finally found someone who sees me. They become your echo. Your dream becomes their favorite topic. Your passion becomes their talking point. They cheer for you louder than anyone else. And just when you let your guard down, they change the tone. The same dream they admired yesterday, today they question. The same passion they praised last week, today they label too much. And the applause begins to fade into silence. They don't attack directly, they ask questions. Subtle ones, sharp ones. Are you sure this is sustainable? Have you really thought this through? What if you're not ready? It sounds like concern, but it feels like a trap. And suddenly you're unsure. Not because your dream changed, but because their belief in you did. But their belief was never yours to borrow. That dream came from inside of you, long before they clapped for it. It was planted in your soul when no one was watching. It grew in the darkness, in the doubt, in the moments when even you questioned its worth. So why should anyone's temporary support define its permanence? They will pretend to be your mirror, but mirrors only reflect, they don't get to rewrite. Yet somehow, their reflection becomes a distortion. You look at your dream through their lens, and it starts to look blurry. Too big, too bold, too unrealistic. But it was never too much, it was simply too free for someone who needed to control it to feel safe. You don't need their validation to believe in what you were born to do. You don't need their cautious words to weigh more than your inner fire, because what lives inside you was not placed there by mistake. It is sacred. It is yours, and not everyone will understand it. Some will only try to manage it so they can manage you. But you were not born to be managed, you were born to rise. And even if your dream terrifies you, that fear is not a signal to stop. It's a sign that you're standing on the edge of something real, something holy, something only you can birth into the world. When someone questions your dream, ask yourself, are they helping me see it clearer? Or are they trying to shrink it to fit their comfort zone? Are they building with me or binding me with doubt disguised as love? Because love does not make you question yourself. Love holds space for your growth, even when it's messy, even when it's bold. So do not hand over your dream like a gift to be approved. Do not let someone rewrite your vision just because they speak with authority. Their fear is not your blueprint. Their doubt is not your destiny. Stand in your truth even if your voice shakes, even if you stand alone. Your dream was not given to a crowd, it was given to you. And you, just as you are enough to carry it forward. They hide cruelty behind charm and empathy. They walk into your world like a healing balm, with words that feel like safety, with eyes that pretend to see your soul, with presence that imitates peace. And because you are kind, because you are open, because your heart knows the ache of loneliness, you let them in. You open the door, not knowing that what enters isn't love, but a performance crafted so perfectly it could win an award for authenticity. They speak like they've known pain. They cry with you. They nod when you share your story. They tell you, I understand. But what they understand is not your healing, it's your wound. They memorize the parts of your story that hurt the most, not to comfort you, but to use them later. They store your fears like weapons, tucked away in velvet, to be pulled out not in battle, but in moments of trust, where the sting will cut deepest. They compliment you, but only after studying what compliments you crave. They reflect back the version of you that feels most lovable. And slowly, without you realizing it, you start performing too. You start curating your truth, editing your emotions, tailoring your vulnerability to match their applause. Because their approval feels like lightened. You've been walking in shadows for so long. But light that burns isn't light, it's fire. And soon, the warmth you trusted starts to scorch. They forget the soft voice and raise theirs in moments when no one else is around. They laugh at the dreams they once admired. They question the tears they once wiped away. And you begin to wonder if the empathy they once showed was ever real or just rehearsed. They know how to cry without ever being in pain. They know how to comfort without ever caring, because their power lies in perception. As long as the world believes they're kind, they will never be held accountable. They charm the crowd while cutting you in silence. They donate to causes while draining your spirit. They speak of compassion while orchestrating chaos behind closed doors. And you sit in silence questioning yourself. Because how can someone who seems so thoughtful be so cold? How can someone who hugs like home hurt like this? And you start to wonder if it's you, if you're too sensitive, too dramatic, too broken to be loved. Because they never say the cruelty out loud, they whisper it between the lines, through subtle gestures, through moments that leave no scars, only bruises that no one else can see. But what if I told you that your sensitivity is not a flaw? That your tears are not weakness, but wisdom? That the ache you feel is not confusion, it's clarity knocking at your door? You are not imagining their shift. You are not making up the manipulation. You are witnessing the mask slowly fall, and it's terrifying, but it's truth. You do not have to stay to prove your loyalty. You do not have to explain your pain to someone who profits from your silence. The most dangerous cruelty is the one hidden behind a kind face. And the strongest act of self-love is walking away before that kindness becomes a cage. You are allowed to name what hurts, even when it smiles. You are allowed to call out darkness, even when it's dressed in light. You are allowed to protect your soul, even from people who speak the language of empathy but move with the motives of control. They may call you cold. They may accuse you of changing. But you were never meant to stay in places that dim your dignity. You were never meant to trade your peace for politeness. You were never meant to carry the weight of someone else's charm that came with chains. Let your heart break if it must, because sometimes it's through the cracks that truth finds its way in. And once it does, you'll never unsee what you've seen. You'll never shrink back into the version of yourself who believed love had to hurt to feel real. There is a difference between being kind and being fooled. And you, beautiful soul, were not created to be fooled. You were created to feel deeply, to rise boldly, to walk away even when it breaks your heart to do so. Because real love will never hide cruelty in compliments. Real connection will never demand your silence in exchange for their peace. At the end of the day, the most dangerous wounds are the ones that never bleed. The most dangerous people are the ones who hide behind virtue. And the smartest narcissists, they master the art of invisibility. They don't storm into your life with destruction, they glide in with grace. They offer understanding, not knowing. They promise love without ever giving it. And they charm not because they care, but because your trust becomes their playground. These aren't the loud ones you see coming, they are the soft-spoken ones you welcome in. Not with force, but with finesse. They plant seeds of doubt while smiling at your growth. They learn your patterns, not to honor them, but to use them against you when you least expect it. Their kindness isn't genuine, it's a costume. Their empathy is borrowed, it doesn't belong to them. You begin to feel crazy because you're hurting without any proof. You question your memory because their lies sound better than your truth. You justify their behavior because they once made you feel seen. But love that blinds you is not love. And care that silences you is not compassion. There is power in naming the hidden pain. There is strength in walking away from the mask. You were never meant to live in confusion. You were never meant to be punished by pretend love. The smartest narcissists don't need to raise their voice. They just need to raise your self-doubt. But your healing begins where your clarity does. And the moment you choose truth over illusion, you become your own protector. So let the masks fall. Let the silence break. And let your soul rise. Not in spite of the danger you faced, but because you chose to walk through it awake. You are not weak for loving. You are powerful for surviving. And your peace will never again be the price of their performance.